Hello, my name is Vanessa Vallely and welcome to One Tech World. During this session, I'm going to be speaking to Ambra Zhang, co-founder of Juniper. She's revolutionising women's health insurance through her company. Ambra, alongside her co-founder, has developed the first insurance product designed to focus exclusively on reproductive health. Juniper is addressing some of the most complex and long overlooked health challenges, from menopause, low testosterone to alternative family planning, offering unmatched accessibilities for employees and employers alike. During this conversation, Ambra is going to share how Juniper is driving significant shift in the women's health gap by tackling issues that traditional insurers have overlooked for years. I'm really excited to find out more, Ambra, about your revolutionary product and how you believe we can transform the workplace in terms of well-being and obviously enhance productivity for women. So first of all, welcome.
Thank you, Vanessa, for having me here.
Fantastic. No, lovely to meet you. So first question, what inspired you to co-found Juniper and how did you identify the need for a dedicated insurance product that was going to focus purely on reproductive health?
Like a lot of founders out there, unfortunately, I saw this as a problem for myself at first. So I faced it firsthand. I started my journey in reproductive health having polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a very, very common women's health condition. It affects 1 in 8 women. But due to the gap in health insurance, in terms of coverage, I realized that my PCOS consultations weren't covered by my insurer. And I found that to be quite, a gap in the market, because I think a lot of women suffer from these conditions. And, I was a very young, healthy individual at work, and I realized that my employer was paying so much money for my health insurance, yet I wasn't getting the benefit out of it. And when I compared it to dental insurance that I had as well, and I could see my dentist and I could see my hygienist, as well as getting my root canal done, I thought, but why don't we have that for reproductive health? Reproductive health is so complex, and the majority of reproductive health conditions become chronic. Around 80% are either asymptomatic or chronic, so health insurance by default may not cover that. And so that's when I started looking at it, and I thought, why don't we create the dental insurance of genitals, essentially? And we say genitals as a joke almost, but we realized when you say reproductive health, a lot of people think about reproduction only.
Yeah.
But we're so much more than that. We cover reproductive health organs throughout a lifetime, whether you are in your early 20s and you join a company, all the way to when you retire, you're going through menopause, but also for other genders as well, because it's so complex. So really personal experience brought me here. And I think that's also the mission. That's why we're also passionate in the company as well. We all see this as a massive problem.
Yeah. So previously you was working in corporate. I mean, obviously been on the end of those health insurance products, when I was in corporate life. I never realized there were so many things to do with reproductive health that they don't cover. So obviously clearly a kind of gap in the market. So how do you think you can close that health gap through Juniper? And what I suppose makes you any different from any other traditional insurer?
Absolutely. So I think maybe starting again from the problem that I faced, I think it was twofold, right? And that's the gap that we're trying to close. One, which is I didn't know where to go for my PCOS. We have our friend Google that gives us a wonderful list of gynecologists, but how do I know which one I should go to spend my money wisely? And the second one, not being able to fund it through my health insurance. And as you were saying, a lot of these things aren't covered until we look into it. And one of my blood tests, regular blood tests, was testing for a hormone, which is called AMH. And it's it can be used also for fertility testing. And the health insurer at that point would say, no, we're not covering that because it becomes a fertility coverage, which we don't do. And so when we identified all of these gaps, we realized also the long-term effect of not covering these conditions. So things like endometriosis, things like PCOS, but also low testosterone in men and women. Because they're chronic, you have to live with it. And the impact, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, is massive. And so for us, we realize, well, how can we help here? How can we bridge the gap? Is by creating a product that can tailor for these long-term problems. And we take two approaches. One, which is we are the experts in it. Reproductive health is very, very complex. So we want to make sure that we cater for it well. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of health insurers have been so scared about it. It's very costly. It's very complex. They don't know how to. Yes, exactly. And then the more you focus on preventative care then in reproductive health, the better it is from a chronic conditions perspective, from a long-term effect perspective. So you can reduce the cost as well. And then the second approach that we take is very much data-driven. We try and look at really what are the biggest gaps in coverage. Is it endometriosis? If it is, let's look into it and cover it. Is that one of the most asked things? And we purely drive our business based on demand. So what is the user feedback? What are the gaps there that we can close? And for women's health specifically, there was an article that came out, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, from the BBC News talking about the pay gap for women because of endometriosis.
Yep.
And those are the things that we want to help with in order for you and everyone else to show up at work with the same outcome, no matter whether you have a specific condition or you don't. But we also do that by bringing men into the equation. It's important to educate both genders, all genders actually, when it comes to reproductive health. And if men understand the complexity of it, they will be able to support women as well. Yeah. So we do both, and we also cater for things like erectile dysfunction that we don't speak often enough about as well.
Yeah, men's health issues. Again, there's a lot of, maybe I'm just more exposed to it because of the world that I live in, you know, when it's all about women, but we do talk a lot now about women's health, whereas we didn't. They were kind of taboo topics, you know, but you're quite right. You know, we need to bring men's health into the forefront as well. So obviously the way that you kind of hone in on whatever product area of cover that you're going to be focusing on is all around data, right? So purely kind of data driven.
Yes.
So in terms of actual impact within the workplace, we know that millions of days are lost, which is probably, you know, millions and millions of pounds due to reproductive health issues every single year. How, if an employer was to adopt kind of, you know, Juniper's product to improve that workplace well-being and productivity, what does that look like?
So there's a lot of research that has gone into it, and I think we're trying to communicate with employers as much as we can on this, but the reality is that every employer will have different metrics on what they care about, and we try to tailor to all of them. So we see one, which is economic impact of being able to cater for reproductive health. Two being productivity, retention. An Employee Benefits Association revealed that companies that fund reproductive health and other health ancillary benefits have a 6 times return on investment on benefits. And so we're not talking about an extra cost anymore. We're talking about how can we make our employee base more productive.
Yeah.
And when we think about instead the conditions like low testosterone in men, 40% of men suffer from low testosterone above the age of 30 or 40. And what that drives is a 10-20% decrease in productivity. This is a parallelism to women as well. Women going through menopause and the productivity decrease that we see there with menopausal fog, they look very similar between men and women, actually. And there we can help in making people more productive, making people feel like they're catered for these conditions at work, and having the support that they need. Being able to cover something like hormonal therapy when you're going through menopause, and it may not fit everyone.
Yeah.
But if you can have that funded from your company, it will change also your perspective on going to work, and your feeling at work, right?
Yeah.
And the third thing is then they're all interlinked. We go into team morale. So we oftentimes compare ourselves to the core benefits that you can have. A lot of companies, they look at their normal health insurance, they look at their pensions, they look at their life insurance. And oftentimes we come in and we say, but let's think about the impact of you increasing 1% of your pensions within your compensation package, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And how do you think your employee base will react if you say, I increased 1% in your pension package versus I am supporting you in your reproductive health benefit and reproductive health journey?
Yeah.
So we try to position it differently now, and we try to really listen to what employees want. And we've seen statistics of employees wanting to stay longer at a company because of fertility and reproductive health benefits. Over half of the employees would stay longer if they had reproductive health benefits.
Because it's such a life cycle, isn't it? When you think, even from a young age, from periods to fertility to, other issues, gynecological issues, and other, like I'm saying, I'm talking about women here, but like into menopause and other issues. There are so many different conditions that you can have. And I think I really agree with your point around who wouldn't work for an employer that's with you on your entire health journey. And as I say, for women, the loss of revenue, the loss of days at work because of all these different conditions, to support them can only be a good thing. So
Absolutely.
obviously, the first to market product, right? So kudos to you for seeing that gap and pushing it. That must have come with its challenges, though. So what obstacles did you face? I'm kind of interested from, I know you're a co-founder, but from a female founder, what was it like trying to get funding? When you're to try and push your idea for what Juniper is?
It's a very good question. There were a lot of challenges, Vanessa, and I think as a regulated product, as a first to market product, it comes with very exciting moments for the company, but very, very difficult challenges as well. And I think the first one is, showing up to the insurance market and say, we want to write a product for reproductive health.
Yeah.
And I come into a room full of men who write cyber insurance, marine insurance, and I'm talking about my PCOS story. And actually I soon realized that as long as you can back yourself with the right data and you have the right credibility, it will work. And that was the same also with investors. I think as a woman, I like to over prepare, and I'm very academic about things. And one of the best moments was one of the investors called me and said, I love what you're building and we will invest. But one piece of feedback for you is you need to be more of a visionary and stop answering my questions and just say it will work no matter what.
Yeah.
You're asking too much. And I think for me personally, I didn't do that often enough. And that was the best piece of feedback that I had in that investment round that we led last year. But then from a business perspective, we had two main challenges. One, which is the gap in data, because insurers haven't done it before. And the second one, the regulatory challenges as well. And when it comes to data, the way we went about it, we took a very scientific approach. We looked at all of the government data, all of the research papers on what is the incidence rate for all of these conditions and how much is it going to cost based on the different pathways that people may have. And so we built a team of pricing consultants as well as doctors to really build this model together. And then there's a second part, which is the regulatory hurdles. we, as an insurance product, we had to be regulated by the FCA. So we became an appointed representative. And again, same pitch, right? You go to an FCA principal and pitch the product, and they look at you and they're like, I'm not sure we have the expertise in this to help you. And as of January this year, we entered the FCA sandbox. So we are testing within that. So we've been able to overcome all of these by just simply being prepared.
Yeah. I love what you said earlier on, just that confidence of saying it will work, we will find a way.
Yes.
You know, and obviously that garners your own self-belief. Yes, we will absolutely find a way. So lots of obstacles. And I think it's really interesting for people that are thinking of setting up their own businesses and stuff like that. You will hit these hurdles, right?
Yes.
And again, especially if it's in a regulated environment and things like that. But it's just having that vision, isn't it? That, you know, we will navigate those kind of challenges. So I've got another question around kind of advocacy. How crucial is advocacy and education in encouraging employers to adopt an insurance product like this? So what sort of strategies, how have you had conversations with them so that they open up their doors and buy into what you're doing?
Education is key. Education is our number one priority. I think we are very lucky at times. We have some HR professionals that really resonate with what we do, but then some others are simply not aware of the problem.
Yeah.
So when it comes to advocacy, we share a lot of data points. When we first speak to an HR professional, it's not even a sales call. It's let's talk about reproductive health and explain how broad it is. And let's put into context how big your organization is. And you're going to have person X, Y, and Z suffering from these things.
Yeah.
So we talk about the conditions, we talk about the impact in the workforce as we just did, and we build communities as well. We create those small roundtables and we talk about issues, case studies, and that's when you bring it to life.
Yeah.
Webinars are very, very powerful as well. And then we start that conversation with HR professionals and saying, how can we help you? If you understood the problem, how can we help you? And that's where we talk about the economic argument of ROI. That's when we talk about the reporting and budget, because it always boils down to budget.
Yeah.
For companies, especially nowadays. But for us, being able to find the right cheerleaders also within a company that wants to push reproductive health is very important.
And is there like a fixed price for companies, like per employee, or is it on a basis by basis kind of way?
It's a fixed price per employee, and the price depends on the number of employees that you have in a company.
Yeah.
And our philosophy here is that because we're an insurance-backed product, it's for everyone. It's not for a specific person needing today menopause support, because you never know when you're going to need menopause support. And we are there whenever you least expect it. But we also talk about data privacy. By offering this product to everyone, really everyone within the organization, that means that everyone will be impacted the same from a benefit perspective, so it's fair. But if I was one of those employees and I had a PCOS claim, I wouldn't want my employer to know. I wouldn't want to bill my employer. And that's why we exist as a product that bridges that barrier between the employee and the employer and the HR manager. I wouldn't want to go through IVF and let my manager know, unless we are besties, but not everyone has that kind of relationship. So we equalize it for everyone. We're about equity, which is very important. It's different from equality. And we're there for those that need it.
Fantastic. So the businesses that you've currently worked with, what's the feedback been? Are they happy that they've engaged on this journey? They've obviously seen the benefit. You presented the business case perfectly. What's the feedback been?
It's been incredible. It's been incredible also being able to deliver the care. I remember when we first launched and we had the first claim come through, and it was actually not from a woman, oddly enough. And that's important because it is a product for both sides, and that's how we
Yeah.
empower also women's health. We were able to deliver that care, and the people who turned around and said, we hadn't had this covered throughout my whole career.
Yeah.
And now I can get this covered through my employer. So it's been really rewarding for us. We've done a lot of research before we launched into the market. So I had spoken to hundreds of people and really gathered that user feedback, trying to understand what was the best product that we could build. And so that really paid back the moment we built it, and we did get really positive feedback. We try to make it as simple as possible. We call it a membership, almost like your gym membership, so that we can make it friendlier than just a normal insurance product, really.
And aside from the insurance product, on the care side, what does that look like? I take it you use a whole team of different professionals that cover all the different kind of, health issues. Tell me a little bit about those.
So we pride ourselves in being a care facilitator. We're not a care provider ourselves. We gather the best expertise in the market. And so one of the things I was saying earlier about not knowing where to go, you are able to log into our platform, see different categories of women's health, men's health, fertility. It can be pregnancy, it can be a lot more. And no matter how specific or how high level you are as an individual as well. And you can speak to any specialist online. And you can also get an appointment booked based on the number of credits that you have or the limit of that insurance product. So if you were to look for an egg freezing journey, we are there to support you in saying, here are different options of clinics that you can go to, because they are the experts in this. This is how much it's going to cost, and this is how much we fund ourselves. So it's all about clarity in that journey. I think the reproductive health journey is very complex. It's very overwhelming oftentimes, and it sits on the sidelines because our life is so busy.
And also insurance is very complex sometimes as well.
Yes.
So simplifying both can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
So what's next for Juniper? Do you have any kind of plans to expand your offerings or areas of interest of reproductive health that you plan to go into?
Absolutely. Our mission is to help people afford the best reproductive healthcare possible. And today starts with an insurance product. But the sky's the limit in terms of how do we want to position ourselves within that mission. We started in the UK. We're now piloting with some companies from an EMEA perspective. And we are starting to go even beyond that. We had a few requests from South America as well. So it's ever evolving. Every day we're adding a bit here, a bit there. But our mission is very much to really listen, to sit there and listen what our customers want, and then we'll build it as we go.
Fantastic. So at the moment, obviously, this product is only available from an A to B perspective, or business to business perspective. But what I'd like for those of you that are watching, go and tell your HR departments about this amazing product and kind of pose the question. If we all want to close the women's equity gap, go and pose the question, why are we not covered for our reproductive health? That's men and women. So, we can help this amazing female founder really make a difference with this insurance product, but actually making a difference to women, because that journey is so vast and so broad, it will touch all of us at one particular point in our lives. So if you want to follow Ambra, you can do that. You can follow her on LinkedIn. Go and look. Could you give me the website of Juniper?
Yeah, getjuniper.co.uk.
So getjuniper.co.uk and go and find out more. But thank you very much, Ambra, for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.